Hare Krishna. Haribol? Hare Krishna. How are you all doing today? Okay, so we are going to be reading from Bhagavad Gita. So before we read from Bhagavad Gita, it's a nice policy if we do a prayer and we offer the prayer to Krishna. So it'll go like this. We'll do a little kirtan. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. So Vasudeva is Krishna, who is the son of Vasudeva, which is Krishna's father, but also Vasudeva means the all-pervading Lord. The Lord everywhere, within everyone's heart, within every living entity, within every atom actually. This is one of the qualities of the Lord. So Krishna, it's suitable that he appeared in this world with this name, as the son of Vasudeva, the son of Vasudeva. And so, we will begin Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, verse 4. So, and before we do verse 4, it would be nice to look at verses 1 through 3. So everyone I'll share it on here. So this chapter actually talks about the demoniac, or the demonic. And the goal for all people is to not be demonic. You know, we don't want to be demonic. What is wrong with being demonic? Someone. What is the result of demonic persons? Okay, I'll give you a hint. When a criminal is bad, what happens to them? What, Tanmay?
Punished.
Yeah, they have to be punished. They have to be punished. So if you're demonic, if we act in a demonic way, we have to be punished. Who here likes getting punished? Nobody likes getting punished. So this is why you don't want to be demonic. Because if you want a life full of punishment, then the reason that the punishment comes is because we're acting in a demonic way. But if we want a life full of, love and wonderful activities, things like that, then we can't act in a way deserving of punishment. Now, the unfortunate circumstances, the fact that we're all in this material world is a certain level of a punishment in its own. Because actually we had not a deep care for God and God's wishes. We were sent here. This is the world for the living entities who are not so keen or interested in service to God. So welcome to the world where we have to get punished a little bit. Anyone feel a little punished by the world time to time? Yes. Anyone who has some common sense should be like, yes, I'm getting punished daily. Every time, multiple times in the day. So this is healthy. This is healthy for the living entities. Because this will actually turn our attention away from the desires and the mentality that is actually causing us to be punished. Who here wants to enjoy? Yes. Yes, Kaushik. We want to enjoy. See, the ignorance is that we want to enjoy separate from God. And we want to selfishly enjoy. I don't care about your enjoyment, but I care about my enjoyment. This is the mentality of all living entities in this material world, unfortunately. And that in itself is already means for punishment, because we're forgetting the actual essence of all things. That the enjoyment of the Supreme is our enjoyment. We're connected to the Supreme. I'll give you an example that's mentioned in the Bhagavatam. 2 examples. You see this beautiful tulsi plant here? Okay, who here is a plant expert? I think Meghna is now a plant expert because she just potted her little tulsi yesterday. So, Meghna, now that we'll ask you this question. If you want to nourish all the leaves on the tulsi plant, where do you put the water? On each individual leaf? No. Why? So you put it to the roots, and then the roots will distribute the water in a better way than we can distribute. So similarly, if we put our love, if we put our service, our attention towards God, all the aspects of life, career, finances, love life, all of the things that you want to enjoy, remember who wanted to enjoy? Every living entity is seeking pleasure. All the things that we're seeking pleasure in are distributed much better. There's a science. Actually, in Bhagavad Gita, in the 15th chapter, Krishna describes this material world and all of existence like a tree. So if we put our nourishment, our time, our attention, our energy into the Supreme Lord, the source of all that be, what do you think will happen? Just like if you put your water and your love, everything towards the roots of a plant, what is happening? That whole plant is being nourished. So this is the science. Now there's 2 classes of people. The class of people who know that, and then there's the class of people who don't know that. The class of people who know that, what are they called? Soras means what? Maybe the devas, the godly, like demigods, like, godly people. So we're going to hear about the godly people first. So the Blessed Lord said, he begins chapter 16 like this of Bhagavad Gita. What's that? This is beginning of chapter 16, verses 1 to 3. But I'm just reading the English. And then the main verse we're going to focus on today is chapter 4. Or not chapter 4, verse 4. But the Blessed Lord said, fearlessness, purification of one's existence, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, which you're doing today, charity, self-control, performance of sacrifice, study of the Vedas, austerity, or taking voluntary penances or suffering for higher purpose, and simplicity, non-violence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, being detached, tranquility, peace, aversion to fault-finding, not say, oh, look what this person does, or look what they do wrong, look what they do wrong. Not wanting to do that. Compassion, freedom from covetousness, that's mine, or this is mine, or I want this, or I want this. Gentleness, modesty, and steady determination. Vigor, like strength and enthusiasm, determination. Forgiveness, fortitude, cleanliness. Freedom from envy, not being envious of others, doesn't matter. Oh, I'm happy for you, rather than I want that. And the passion for honor. We're going to talk a lot about that. Freedom from envy and the passion for honor. These transcendental qualities, O son of Bharata, belong to godly men, endowed with divine nature. So this is what the divine do. All these things. Verses 1 to 3 of the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. This is what the divine do. The godly do. But unfortunately, the godly are rare. So, what's especially in Kali Yuga, the demoniac or the asuras, they do something else. So this is the verse we're going to work on today. And it's our duty, it's our great, it's our duty and the great work we have to do to try not to do these things. If we do these things in our life, then one, at a selfish level, we have to get punished. But two, we won't be ultimately able to fulfill the highest purpose. And the highest purpose is to be a servant of the Lord. That's what Bhakti Yoga. This is the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. And actually, since everyone wants to enjoy, right? We raise our hand. Who wants to enjoy? Yes, everyone is seeking pleasure. The highest pleasure for the leaf is to be nourished by the roots. Not to try and hoard all the water itself. It doesn't get nourished that way. So the highest way that you can get pleasure with some intelligence is you give your time, your energy, your service towards the Lord rather than trying to get your own pleasure. It's the great paradox. Trying to give pleasure to the Lord gives you pleasure. Trying to get pleasure yourself does not give you pleasure. That's the great paradox. They've already proven this even scientifically. There's a documentary on Netflix called Happy. I don't think it's so profound, but if you watch documentaries, why not give it a gander? But one of the conclusions they found in this is that the happiest people in the world, they all have something in common.
Not a lot of desires.
What's that?
Not a lot of desires.
Yes, they have a very simple life, not filled with all kinds of desires, not filled with much money at all. Actually, the happy amount of money is just having the basics. The happiest people all across the world, they just have the basics of life. That's all. That's all. Anything more than the basics becomes like poison. Actually, in Ayurveda, there's a similar principle. Actually, in plant care, we're talking a lot about plants. If you give enough water to the tulsi, that's good. She'll thrive. If you give too much water to the tulsi, then she starts getting diseases and all kinds of things. If you give just enough food to the body will be very happy. If you give too much food to the body, 95% of diseases are caused this way. So this is the science, the balance of life. So similarly, if we try and hoard all of our pleasure, one, try and give it to the body. You're not this body. Do you know that? This is like Bhagavad Gita 101. That you are not this body. You're a spirit soul. This is you must have some spiritual inclination, some spiritual knowledge, or you're not come to want to worship the Lord. Some type of spiritual thing already exists in you. It exists in everyone, but some type of spiritual inclination has arisen in this life, or you wouldn't be inclined to do these activities. So you're already doing something spiritual. Now, we have to refine it. It's not just like, well, I'm spiritual, so that's good enough. I believe in God. No, this is, actually, well, you'll see today. One of the qualities of the demonic, they're very whimsical. You know what whimsical means? What's whimsical mean?
Doing things without proper instruction, doing whatever they like.
Yeah, whatever comes to the mind, I'll do that. Whatever the mind, whatever the whims, whatever the dictations of the mind, whatever the environment around you is doing, I'll do that. I'll go with it. I'll go with the flow. It's touted as good. Yeah, just go with the flow, man. Well, what if the flow is going off a cliff? Oftentimes, that's where the flow is going, off of a cliff. So we have to make sure that we're in a proper flow. If you're sailing a boat, you want to make sure that your destination is good, or you get off at the proper destination. If you just keep going with the flow, eventually you'll find yourself off a waterfall, or stranded at sea, or something like this. We have to direct our flow. We need a good captain of the ship. So actually this is a spiritual teacher. Krishna recommends this at the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna took Krishna as his spiritual teacher. We can all take Krishna as our spiritual teacher. And that way we won't be stranded in the middle of an ocean of misery, which is kind of the current situation of everybody in the material world. There's misery all around them and they're confused and they don't know how to arrange everything to be completely happy. They're trying everything they can, but it doesn't work, and then the body gets older, the circumstances get worse, and next thing you know, you find yourself like, oh my God, I'm about to die, and I still haven't figured anything out yet. This is everybody you know 101. This is their philosophy, unfortunately. Unless you do meet a few very deep people who have some higher spiritual knowledge. But the majority, 99.9% of people, they're lost at sea in misery. And they have no hope. It's actually just getting worse and worse as the body ages, and they get more and more fearful as they approach death. And first they have to watch their relatives approach death. And they watch, and even protect their children from death. And they see death around them everywhere, but they never think it's going to come for them. So Yudhisthira, he actually remarks in the Mahabharata, this is the most amazing thing, is that we see everyone dying around us, everything dying, and we notice it everywhere else but except in us, that we're also on the pathway to death. So this is a problem, actually. But the godly actually know these things. And the godly, they do all the wonderful qualities that I mentioned in the first 3 verses. But we should know the demoniac qualities, because we might find ourselves not fully hitting all of the godly qualities. It's actually very likely. The first 9 times I read Bhagavad Gita, I was very, very discouraged every time I got to this chapter. Why? Because I was totally demonic. I had a demonic mentality. Most people, if they have no deep spiritual practice or inclination or birth or so on, are in the demoniac mentality. So it's a great goal of life to overcome this lower way of being, this demonic way of being. So let's go on a journey to do that together. Dambho darpo bhimanascha Krodha parushyameva cha Agyanam chabhijatasya Partha sampadamasurim Dambha, pride. Darpa, arrogance. Abhimanaha, conceit. Cha, and. Krodha, anger. Parushyam, harshness. Eva, certainly. Cha, and. Agyanam, ignorance. Cha, and. Abhijatasya, one who is born. Partha, O son of Pritha. Sampadam, nature. Asurin, demoniac. Alright. Anyone want to give it a try again, the verse? Maybe Adya? Dambho darpo bhimanascha Krodha parushyameva cha Agyanam chabhijatasya Partha sampadamasurim. One more, maybe a gentleman?
Dambho darpa bhimanascha
Dambho darpo bhimanascha Krodha parushyameva cha Agyanam chabhijatasya Partha sampadamasurim. Translation, repeat after me. Arrogance, pride, anger, conceit, harshness, and ignorance. These qualities belong to those of demonic nature, O son of Pritha. Purport. In this verse, the royal road to hell is described. Who's interested in going on the royal road to hell? That's good. We have an intelligent group here. The demoniac want to make a show of religion and advancement in spiritual science, although they do not follow the principles. They are always arrogant or proud in possessing some type of education or so much wealth. They desire to be worshipped by others and demand respectability, although they do not command respect. Over trifles or small arguments, they become very angry and speak harshly, not gently. They do not know what should be done and what should not be done. They do everything whimsically, according to their own desire, and they do not recognize any authority. These demoniac qualities are taken by them from the beginning of their bodies, in the wombs of their mothers, and as they grow, they manifest all these inauspicious qualities. All right. So, just so you know, this was how I was born into the world. Quite demonic, actually. A lot has happened in my life that I've made progress on this, but actually if you hang out with me long enough, you might find, you notice a few of those things are still there. Yeah, not ideal, but far less than there used to be. There's a process, the Krishna conscious process is meant to purify one. If you remember earlier, one of the things godly people do is purification of one's existence. Who's actively taking the path of purification? Who even realizes that you need to purify? Very few actually, the demoniac think that they're so wonderful. I don't need to purify, I'm great as it is. But the intelligent, they know, I need purification. They're humble. One of the things, humility should be in here somewhere. They're humble. They know that they need purification. So, this is the quality. We're arrogant. We think that they're so wonderful. We have so much pride. We want people to see us and what we do. Look at me, look at I. And in spiritual life, this is very much the case. Actually, in Kali Yuga, in spiritual life, the heads of spiritual institutions, or who actually look to be spiritual, they have this. These are the ones. So I'm in great danger. I'm in probably the most danger of taking on these qualities. Actually, it's said in Kali Yuga that the demons would come in the highest class of people. The Brahmin class, that's where they want to go in Kali Yuga. So this is unfortunately the case in Kali Yuga, where the heads of spirit, these are the symptoms that they're gonna have. So we have to be very vigilant. One, just ourselves, not to carry these symptoms. But two, we have to be able to recognize this. We have to be able to recognize this. So arrogance and pride, anger. What does anger come from? It's mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter. Anyone remember? Yes, it comes from lust. Not being able to fulfill one's desires, having so much desire. The will of the Lord is something that we should be okay with. In that way, you can go with the flow. The Lord has ordained this, okay, that is good. But when we impose our own desires on situations, then, when they naturally don't go as we think, who gets everything they desire in the material world? Oh, none of you? Yes. And this is why we get angry, actually, because nothing is going how we want. But it's not about what you want, actually. It never was, and it never will be. It's always what the Lord wants. But the devotee, the most intelligent class, but the bhakta, the one who really has genuine affection and love for the Lord, they don't have their own wants. They say, "Oh Lord, what do you want?" "Oh, you want this? Okay, I'll do service. I'll do that." Like this. So we have a very rich culture of we we serve our superiors, we serve our Guru Parampara, we serve advanced devotees, we surrender unto a spiritual teacher. And this is a process. The Guru, we've mentioned this in other classes, finding the Guru in one's life, there's many different forms of how Guru comes. But we always want to find our superiors. There's an etiquette on, even, I'm a young man. Even if I have more spiritual wisdom than, let's say, someone 5 years older than me, there's an etiquette on how I approach that person. I should not, try to become that person's, advisor or guru. There's proper etiquette, proper formality. Actually that's why we made a rule in the ashram. We tested many things in this ashram over the years, that no one is allowed to come and stay here unless they're younger than us. That's our rule we had to make, because we actually realized that we can't actually be a proper authority and run the ashram how it needs to be run unless that natural material even realm is there, where the person can naturally look to us in a superior way. And we found that. But actually, this is proper, that you should not be trying to give spiritual guidance for your seniors and your elders and things like that. You should actually direct them. You guys should, you should check out my teacher. My teacher can help you. Or this person really inspires me, like this. So anyway, the demonic, they're very prideful, they're very arrogant, they're very angry, they're conceited, it's all about them. This is very, very tough thing to overcome. I know in my life I can get very fixed and, my own desires, my own things are very important. But actually, there's many, many others to factor in here. There's Krishna to factor in. What does Krishna desire? What does my community around me desire? These things. Harshness. Also, I don't know if anyone else here married? Or been married before? Yes, in marriage, Niranjan. Why didn't you slip your hand up before when I said you're married? I hope that's not foretelling anything. Priti, he's a good man. But if you're married, sometimes you might look at how you've talked to each other over the past week, and you might say, was I a bit harsh? I know, me and my wife, we were born in certain bodies that it wasn't so natural for us to work towards godly qualities. So sometimes the tendency is where we could be a little harsh with each other. But maybe I'm not the only one in marriage. I've heard this is a little common in marriage, where the husband and the wife, they get to bickering and they can be a little harsh with each other. But who knows, maybe it's just me dealing with this thing. No?
There's a lot of harshness in couples, I see now.
Yeah, I think so, Holly. Yes. So, and last actually is ignorance. This is the quality of the demonic. They actually don't know what's in their best interest. They act, and they're very whimsical, and they just have a passion for life and passion to follow. But actually, they actually have no idea who they even are. That's the symbol of the demonic. They actually don't even know who they are. They don't know they're a spirit soul. They don't know that there is a divine authority. God is the divine authority. They don't know intelligently that, if I actually surrender unto God, not only will I be happier, everyone will be happier, and God will be happy. They don't care about that. They don't know that the divine system, the order of things are that Krishna described in the Bhagavad Gita previously. So this is the problem. Also one problem is that they don't pay respect to their authorities, and I'm almost guilty of that because I didn't do my prayers that I'm supposed to do right now. So if you guys would like, maybe we can do some prayers quickly, If you know them, sing along. If not, maybe meditate during this time. Om Gyanam Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stasitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svavadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Ravinam Vanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishadvitam Saksha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhani Sute Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Vasari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shanjivari Paschatya Deshatarine Jai. So, again, the verse is, maybe I'll share it. Arrogance, pride, anger, conceit, harshness, and ignorance. These qualities belong to those of demonic nature, O son of Pritha. And Krishna concludes in the next verse. He says, Daivi sampad vimokshaya nibandaya surimata mashucha sampadam daivim abhijato sipandava. The transcendental qualities are conducive to liberation. So liberation is freedom from suffering. So at the very least, if you don't want to suffer anymore, developing these transcendental qualities are what's going to be favorable for that. Whereas the demonic qualities make for bondage. Hey! Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Welcome. Nice seeing you.
Lalita.
I don't think that's Lalita, but...
She didn't hear.
No, Lalita couldn't make it today. She messaged me.
She
But Sohan, I'm so happy to see you. And we met in the Indian store just the other day. Shri Niti?
Yes.
Yeah, Shri Niti. Hare Krishna. Thanks for coming. So we're talking about the demonic qualities. And the demonic qualities in Bhagavad Gita, 16th chapter, they cause bondage. They cause us to get bound up in so many things, desires and so many activities. You probably have noticed this before. Did you ever get involved in something and you don't know how you got involved in it, but next thing you know, you got involved in someone else's business or this thing or that thing, and next thing you know, you're suffering immensely because you got involved in something you shouldn't have gotten involved with?
Where's Makunda?
That's a good question, Kashi. Makunda actually, I think he had to do a little extra work this weekend, unfortunately. But we do have Rishi here to take Mukunda's role of deity worship. So, this happens when we act out of ignorance and we don't do that which is proper. We get caught up in all kinds of bondage. An example is Duryodhana got millions of people caught up in bondage because he tried to take hold of the kingdom. He wanted the kingdom, he had this desire, and he'll do anything that he could to get this kingdom, including offending great devotees like the Pandavas. So he did anything he could to try and overthrow them. And what he ended up doing is he got himself wrapped up in a big mess where he would have to die. And then he got everybody, who had some type of political affiliation with him, some type of money he promised, some type of temptation that brought them to that side. He got everyone wrapped up in a big mess, and then they all had to die actually over it. Because he would not, and the righteous side, of course, they wanted to have peace over and over and over again, because that's what godly people do. They don't want to fight. They're peaceful people. But the demonic, they're very pulled by their desires. So naturally, we don't want to be demonic, right? Is that agreed? Anyone here? You guys should read 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Just check. Oh, these are the godly qualities. And then, I know for me, only to this portion of my life can I actually read the Bhagavad Gita and not cringe like the whole time and be like, all right, wow, I'm glad I kind of checked a few of these off the list, because in the beginning when I was reading it, it's like, oh my god, every one. I'm demonic on every quality. Holy crap. It was actually a big problem. When you do Krishna consciousness, this is a natural way to purify yourself. And actually, when you're in ignorance, you can't just be like, all right, well, I'm not going to be arrogant today. Because your natural tendency is to be arrogant, unfortunately. Because you're in ignorance. You don't know how to be not arrogant. You don't know how to not have pride. You don't know how to control your anger. So this is a big problem, actually. You don't know how to not be selfish. So ultimately, we need some guidance. We need guidance. So we're recommending that you, the people at large, take guidance. Don't take my guidance. I don't offer anything special as like a personal person. But I have some really nice teachers, and I'm connected to a lineage in which I can say with a matter of fact, if you take guidance from these great teachers, and you take guidance, who are really taking guidance from the Lord Himself, that's what Bhagavad Gita is the instructions, the song of God. If we take guidance from the Lord, as opposed to taking guidance from our own whims, which is the demonic way, we'll be much happier this way. It's all about being happy. The Lord is not cruel, and He wants to punish us, even though we're getting punished in this material world. And I don't know, Sriniti and Sohan, if that's news to you guys, but we said this earlier, and that the demonic, in this world, they don't realize, but they're getting punished over and over again in this world. And in the moment, we probably all realize this, that the world is not going so smoothly for us. It's never really going quite how we want. Actually, it's designed that way. It's not supposed to. Because what we want and how we want to enjoy in this world isn't in alignment with what God wants for us, actually. So this is what Bhagavad Gita is trying to get us in alignment with what does God desire? What does the Lord desire? And if we align ourselves with that, then we can be happy. Just like when you water, we gave this analogy, you water the root of a plant, all the leaves, all the branches, all the twigs are happy. So if you water, if you give your service, your attention, and your desires to the Lord, everything will go nicely in your life. Your relationship, your job, this thing, that thing, and the other thing, doesn't matter. So anyway, we are recommending this process. But I have a secret. I've got a little book here. It's called the Prema Bhakti Chandrika. It's a songbook, actually. Actually, we sing it every morning and you don't even realize it. Shri Guru Charana Padma. Someone sing along with me. Kevala Bhakati Sadma Pando Mui Savahadana Mate. Did you know that this was part of the Prema Bhakti Chandrika by Narottam Das Thakur? So we sing this every morning in our center. And because it's actually giving us hope on how to actually overcome this demonic tendency. How will we do this? One, we take guidance of the spiritual master. What's that, Kashi?
What's your name?
Yes. Thank you, Kashi, for helping us discover all of our congregation here. So we need guidance. So actually the Prema Bhakti Chandrika actually is written by Narottam Das Thakur, who is one of the wonderful empowered Vaishnavacharyas in our lineage, who helped spread Krishna consciousness all over the world actually. So one of his secrets was first to glorify his spiritual teacher who blessed him with his spiritual knowledge. And then two, to bless the sadhus, to glorify the sadhus, the saintly people who are trying to share this all over the world and show honor and respect to them. Why? Because the sadhus are how you can find the teachings of your guru, the teachings of the Lord everywhere, especially when you associate with them. So we actually recommend, please come, join other people trying to practice spiritual life. This is so much in people's benefit. Because the opposite, if we're hanging out with only those who are, maybe say, ignorant to spiritual understanding, naturally we get their qualities. We also want to do ignorant things like this. Rich people, they know this. You know, I don't. Anyone study like business, like ethics and things like that? How to get rich? I did this a few times in my life. Like I said, I was really quite demonic when I first started this process. So, how do you get rich? What's the advice of all the business moguls? What's that? Yeah, surround yourself with other rich people. The rich, they surround themselves with other rich people. Your 5 closest friends have to be rich. That's what they recommend, actually. But, so if you want to be godly, it's actually the same principle. How do you think you become godly?
Surrounding yourself with others that are godly.
Yes, you surround yourself with others who are godly. And they can remind you to be godly. If you only surround yourself with those of demonic nature, they'll remind you how to be demonic. And actually, I'm already quite good at that. I don't need a reminder on how to be demonic. I'm expert at that. So this is the secret. So they recommend surrounding yourself with Vaishnavas as much as you can. Other godly people who are trying to worship the Lord. To follow a spiritual teacher with a set of principles. I mean, if you don't know anything about Srila Prabhupada and the teachings he brought to the West, please come learn about Srila Prabhupada. We'd love to share his books with you. He's what an incredible teacher. And really, what makes him so incredible, he was so humble, it was nothing about his glory. It was all about, we're just trying to follow the Lord. This is what the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita. This is what the Lord says in Srimad Bhagavatam. Even this is what the other universal spiritual teachers like Jesus and Muhammad all across the world, it's all about service to God. Just please do this for your benefit and everyone's benefit. It's a very beautiful, beautiful message. The most popular band in the world at the time also took the message. Do you know who that was? The Beatles. The Beatles are still actually, I think, the most popular band in the world still, to this day. Mostly because there's a bunch of old people who love the Beatles. But now who knows who's in the younger generations. But anyway, so this Prema Bhakti Chandrika, it sings, when we sing about the glories of the Guru every morning, and we worship the Gurus, and we offer our respects and obeisances to the Gurus. But when it gets a little deeper about how to overcome, how to ultimately worship the Lord, because the Gurus have to teach us how to worship the Lord. The demoniac, they also think that, oh yes, I worship the Lord too. I know how to worship the Lord. But they just do it by their whims. Arjuna asks about these people in the end of the 17th chapter. Well, what happens to someone who doesn't care to follow the scriptures or the ordains of the Lord and just wants to worship the Lord however they want? Well, they don't have a very good result, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. But those who do, they want to find out, okay, well, what does the Lord say? What, you know, it's like if you think there's a you know, a pastime in the Mahabharata. Have you ever heard of Ekavalya? What's that? Eklavya, is that how you pronounce it? Ekalavya? Eklavya? Okay. So Eklavya, he said, I'm a disciple of Drona. I learned weaponry from Drona. So I think somehow or other he was sitting in on the classes from the outside and studying how Drona would teach them military arts. So maybe that could be like us. We look up online how to do things that we want to do, and we become some great disciple of whoever is teaching us this art online. But in order to be a proper disciple, you should listen to your teachers. You know, like I could read all these books of Srila Prabhupada and the Acharyas, and yes, I'm a disciple of these books, but then when their disciples and their teachers are trying to instruct me and I don't know, no, I don't need to do it. I got it right here. I know how to do it. Then am I really, being a proper disciple? So Eklavya was like this. So he was actually, he got really talented with his weaponry. But ultimately he touted himself as a disciple of Dronacharya. So Arjuna also was a great disciple of Drona, but he actually did it the proper way. He studied under Drona. He tried to serve Drona. Drona, what do you want? How can I do it? Anything that you want, I'll do. He even conquered the Drupada kingdom. I don't know if you remember that pastime in Mahabharata. He conquered the Drupada kingdom with his 4 brothers to please Drona. So anyway, Eklavya, Arjuna couldn't tolerate that. This Eklavya, he's saying he's a great disciple of yours, but I've never seen him do any service to you, anything. And so Drona says, we'll see if he is my great disciple. So also he was using his killing in unrefined ways. He was an ignorant person, and he was whimsical, and he was using his killing in not really good ways at all. He was killing all kinds of animals in the forest unnecessarily. And so Drona says, we'll see if he is my disciple. So they went and visited Eklavya, and Eklavya, is that how you pronounce it? Eklavya? Okay, Eklavya. And he went and bowed before Drona. And so do you know what Drona asked Eklavya for? His thumb. He's like, if you're really my disciple, okay, I see you've been studying many things I've been teaching. Please give me your thumb. So actually Eklavya became his disciple that day. And he actually did. He gave him his thumb. And this didn't allow him to continue on his pursuit to power, which is why he tried to take the knowledge from Drona in the first place. But he actually did something. He did something pleasing to the spiritual teacher. And actually he was blessed for doing that. Where if he would have tried to keep his thumb and become greatly powerful, he would have probably had to have been killed. It probably saved his life. So anyway, we should learn from our superiors. We should hear from the spiritual teachers. Yeah, we should read their books, but it shouldn't be on our whims. I'm going to follow like this. We should take guidance. Thank you, Kaushik. So, then Narottam Das Thakur, after he glorifies the Gurus and the Vaishnavas, he starts going through the process of Prema Bhakti, how to actually develop love for God, some of the practices that he does. But first, before you get to that point where you can actually exist on a level of love for God, you have to overcome the demoniac tendencies. And that's what this whole kind of lesson is about, how to overcome the demoniac tendencies. So I just mentioned it's impossible to be like, I'm not going to be arrogant today, I'm not going to be arrogant today, I'm not going to be arrogant today. Oh, I can't be prideful. Don't get angry. Because it's already, the tendency is already in there. We're not we're not controlled enough. And in Kali Yuga, in this age, it's not easy. Everyone around us has these qualities. So what do we do? What do we do? Someone give me some solutions that you know
Take deep breaths.
of. Take some deep breaths. There are some mechanical processes to try and overcome these things. No, it's good. Actually, Krishna gives this process to Arjuna. Arjuna intelligently realized he couldn't do this. He said, yeah, become a great yogi. Renounce all of your family existence. Because Arjuna, he said that in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. I don't want to fight. I don't want to do this whole thing. I want to renounce everything. I want to be a yogi in the forest. So Krishna teaches him how to be a yogi. All right, go sit down over here. Get rid of your family. Get rid of your job. Get rid of any loved relative in your life. Fine. You don't want to fight? No problem. You don't want to do your dharma in the world? No problem. Be a yogi. Take some deep breaths. He tells him, sit up nice and tall. Focus on the tip of the nose. Take some deep breaths. Completely surrender all this. But actually, after he goes through the whole process, Arjuna at the end of the chapter is like, I cannot do that. I can't give up this thing. I can't give up that thing. I can't give up this thing and the other. I can't sit still for the rest of my life and practice pranayama like a yogi. So actually we need a new solution. That's not going to work for us. Because it didn't work for Arjuna. And Arjuna is much more qualified than we are. In the moment it might work. Okay, I can take a few deep breaths. But actually there's a secret that Krishna gives to Arjuna. That's how to actually achieve the highest yoga. What is the highest yoga?
Bhakti.
Michael, you study here too much. Let someone else answer. Yes, it's Bhakti Yoga.
What happened?
Sorry.
What happened, John?
It's right here.
Maybe it's in your shirt. I don't know. But anyway, so Narottam Das Thakur, he says that the best process. Well, first he says is to practice devotional service. Well, first he says to give up all bad association of others practicing other processes, yogis, sannyasis, karmis, jnanis, meditators, and worshippers of the demigods. Abandon attachment for all types of fruitive activities, religious duties, distresses, lamentations, and material objects. And he says, just worship Krishna. Just worship the Lord. And he says, don't put so much time into holy places and waste your energy born from illusion. He says, the lotus feet of Sri Govinda are the perfection of one's life. So first he says, give up pride and envy. And with firm determination in the heart, one should always worship the Lord without deviation. So how do you think we give up pride and envy? These are the demoniac qualities. How do you give them up?
Surrounding yourself with someone who doesn't have these qualities and learning from someone.
Yes. So these will help. But actually Narottam Das Thakur, he tells us how. He says, Krishna Bhakta Sangha Kari, Krishna Bhakta Anga Hari, Shradanbita Shravana Kirtana, Archana Bandhana Dhyana, Nabha Bhakti Mahagyana, E Bhakti Parama Karana. He says, the best process of devotional service is to hear, chant, worship, glorify, and meditate with faith on the names, forms, qualities, and pastimes of Krishna, in the association of the devotees of Krishna, through the 9 forms of bhakti. So to practice bhakti, which is first hearing, you guys are doing it right now, you're hearing about bhakti. Next to you, you can share, you can chant these things, you can share with your friends. Or you can just call upon the names of the Lord. You can worship the Lord. We're doing some deity worship, we're offering food to the Lord. This is actually part of the process. And so on. And you can glorify the Lord. You call His names, spread His teachings like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and meditate on the Lord. But to do it where? In the association of others doing that, like the devotees of the Lord. So you're doing that today. That's what we've invited you to do. So then he says, Hrishike Govinda Seva Na Pujiba Devi Deva Eta Ananya Bhakti Katha Arajata Upalamba Bishesha Sakali Damba Dekite lagaye mane byatha. I will serve Govinda with all my senses, and I will not worship demigods and goddesses. This is the highest principle of devotional service. All other processes are simply born of pride, and I feel great pain in my heart by seeing them. Saying the way to give up pride is give up all other processes of worship that you might have. I know that demigod worship, especially in the East, is very important and prominent. But actually, it's recommended. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that all worship of all types of demigods are only worship in me, but they do so in a wrong way. So finding out the way that the Lord wants to be worshipped. Actually, a lot of even Western religions did catch on to this. The pagan religions were very prominent in Rome and Greece. But the Jewish religion, and then the continuation was of the Christian religion, and then actually also the Islamic religion, came in monotheistic, actually with realization that, this is actually the best, to solely and wholly devote your life unto the one God. Because everything's connected via one God. So, Narottam Das Thakur also recommends this. But, this is how you can get rid of all of the things. There's 2 more verses. Dehe baise ripu gana, jatika indriya gana, keha kada badya nahi haya, shuni lena shuna kana, jani lena jane prana, dadhayi tena pare nishchaya. The 6 enemies, lust, anger, greed, illusion, pride, and envy, and the 5 senses of sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch reside in my body, but I am unable to control them. Hey, that's the problem, right? All these things are there, all these qualities are there, and all our senses are there and they want to act. I'm unable to control them. Although I hear and understand repeatedly that one should serve Krishna with all his senses, still I cannot accept this fact with firm determination. Like I might tell all of you that just serve Krishna with all your senses and don't worry about lust, anger, greed, illusion, pride, and envy. Yet still they're going to come up. Still the body will want to do so many other things. Maybe engage in sports, politics, this thing, that thing, the other thing, and not want to serve the Lord. This is very natural, actually. So Narottam Das Thakur says he actually also has this. And he can't accept these facts with firm determination. So then he gives the secret. Kama krodha moha lobha mada matsarja dambasaha stane stane nijukta kariba ananda kari hridaya ripu kari parajaya anayase govinda bhajiva. I will engage lust, anger, greed, illusion, envy, and pride in their proper places. In this way I will defeat the enemies with ecstasy in my heart. I will worship Govinda without difficulty. So does anybody know those things? They're in Krishna as well. Like if they can be within you, lust, greed, envy, pride, they can also be within God. But there's a way to engage these things in their proper places, actually. So Narottam Das Thakur is going to teach us how to do it. Krishna seva kamarpane krodha bhakta dveshi jane lobha sadhu sange hari katha moha ishta labha bine mada Krishna guna gane nijukta kari bhakjata tata. So he says, I will engage my lust in eagerness to serve Krishna. So we all have a lusty tendency. We're eager for this thing or that thing and the other thing. He'll engage his eagerness in doing some service to Krishna somehow. Ultimately, if you know this is for your well-being, like for instance, if you believe there's a God, and if you believe by serving God, God will bless you, is that so hard to understand? Who doesn't get that? Does that make sense or no? Yes? Everyone agree? You believe there's a God, there must be a God. Yes? Raise your hand if you agree with that conclusion. Okay, everyone here believes there must be a God. Good. Because for me, I was an atheist for a long time. I didn't actually... Step one, could not do it. Okay. So now, by serving God, God will bless you. Does that make sense? Yes. So we should... Are we eager to be blessed? Who's eager to be blessed? Yes, I want to be blessed. Who here came here probably because you want some blessings? Whenever there's an exam or a job interview, we see so many you come. Oh yes, please. I'm very eager to be blessed in this thing. So God is actually telling us what's really a blessing. I know we have our desires and what we think are blessings. But so we'll engage our lust in eagerness to serve Krishna. So by eagerness to serve Krishna, this is how we are most blessed. So try and come here, and that's the art. We're teaching devotional service, Bhakti Yoga. Krishna teaches us what is service. Narottam Das Thakur actually mentioned what it was. Shravanam Kirtanam. Hear about Krishna first. Kirtanam. Share about Krishna's teachings. And this will help you remember Krishna. This is how you can serve Krishna. First hear, but you're all doing a service to Krishna by hearing. Harikatha. He says, I'll use my anger against those who are envious of the devotees. Hanuman was very, very good at using his anger in this way. You've heard of Hanuman? Hanuman was a great devotee of Ram. But there are many who will come against the Lord, and they will come against the devotees of the Lord. And we can be angry at them. Save your anger for them. No problem. You have the tendency to be angry? Get angry at those who are blaspheming the Lord or blaspheming the devotees. I'll be greedy to hear the topics of Hari and the association of devotees. Hari Katha. This is what we should be greedy for. Be greedy. Oh, I want to hear about the Lord today. I want to hear spiritual message today. I want to associate with the devotees. This is what we should be greedy for. Not getting some money, not getting the job we want to, this thing and that thing and the other thing. Because why? We know that these things can never really make us happy, right? And then also, by chasing these things, Krishna punishes us. That's what the world does. That's what the material world does. By chasing things that have nothing to do with the Lord, we get punished by the world. This is the case. So become greedy to hear about the Lord. And you'll be so blessed. If you don't believe me, trust me, it works. If you shift your greed, all right, I want to, greed is actually a good thing. It can be a good thing. Greed for your own selfish sense pleasure isn't good because it can never make you happy because it's not really you. It has nothing to do with you. Let's say you're greedy for some wealth. You'll have to give up all the wealth because you can't actually use wealth. You as a soul can't actually do anything with the wealth. The wealth is all of material things. Similarly, your body senses you're greedy for sense pleasure. No one here can be happy by tasting so many wonderful things. Eventually, you can be happy for a little bit, but then it usually does something to the body that we're not so happy about. But eventually you won't be happy. Because, you'll get full, and then you'll get sick. You just can't keep tasting and tasting. What's that? Yeah, but still, even if you put it over a few years or whatever, it's eventually you got to give up the body that was giving it pleasure in the first place. So you can never really get happiness through the body, because you're not the body. That's why you can't get happiness through the body. I know. But you know what? If you come and eat Krishna's prasadam, it's good. You hear about Krishna, you hear spiritual knowledge, you eat the good food, and then actually you'll develop a spiritual consciousness. That's why this food is super special. So, and actually this is a form of worship by eating Krishna prasad. So if you offer everything you eat to Krishna, you can actually be happy through eating food even, just by eating food. So that's one thing. So I'll be illusioned. Illusion is also one of the gates to hell. I'll be illusioned if I fail to achieve my worshipable Lord. So if I don't get to worship the Lord in the day, I'll feel empty. I'll feel illusioned. So this is actually, we should always feel this. If I don't get to do something in service to the Lord today, I should feel illusioned. that actually we are illusioned. If we're not using any of our time in service to the Lord or engaging with the Lord, because the Lord is the fabric of all of existence, that's what God means, and God is the source of all existence. If we don't acknowledge that in our activities, we must be illusioned. And actually we're also a bit ungrateful. So these things are here. And this is actually how we can overcome all of these things. You should feel illusioned when you don't get to worship the Lord. Yes, good. That's a perfect way to use illusion. And I will feel pride. I will feel proud to chant the glories of Krishna. So that's what we can be prideful about. Wow, I chanted the glories of God today. Why? Because it's the opposite of pride. You're glorifying God instead. You're actually being quite humble. But instead we want to be so proud. Oh, I do this thing, I have this talent. Look at me, I'm a great orator, I'm a great dancer, I'm a great student, I'm a great worker, I'm a great this thing and that thing and the other thing. But really, actually, does that have anything to do with you? Like, who here remembers their past life? No, none of you? Oh, rats. Alright, my friend, please tell me your name again. Mohit?
Yes.
Mohit, what if I told you I can read past lives? Would you believe me?
I would.
Alright. Holly believes me. So in your past life, you were a great ballet dancer. You were the best ballet dancer. Do you believe me? Who knows if you were a boy or a girl? It's good you don't believe me because this is hypothetical. But whether you were the greatest ballet dancer, or you were the president of Russia, or you were the president of this country and that country or the other country, what use is that now to you? It's not very useful. Your so-called talents and things are not very useful at all. So similarly now, if you become the greatest CEO of Sohan, where do you want to get a job? Your dream job?
Somewhere in the west side.
Somewhere in the west side. Okay, so you had the best job in the west side. I don't know what that is. What use will that be in your future life?
Sorry?
What use will that job be in your future life? That position?
Like in the next life you're saying?
Yes.
I don't know, but like for this life it will be definitely useful. So I don't know about that.
Well, we think, but I'm looking at long term. Long term. Right now, it may be useful. There's a science to making it useful, but it may also not be useful. Just like all of our ambitions in the past life, we don't have any, proper utilization of them now. They're fleeting, they go. So, but there is a science. We're not saying don't get jobs. Everyone stop, Krishna didn't tell Arjuna to stop his job. He said, do your job, but why do the job? How to make the job useful? Does anyone know the secret in Bhagavad Gita? How did he make the job useful? Adya.
To do it in devotional service to Krishna.
Yeah, he did it in service to Krishna. He used his job. Ultimately, he did his job because that's what Krishna wanted him to do. And so similarly, Krishna has many things that he wants for the people of the world. He wants to give them actually a salvation. Like Krishna wants to save all of the people of this world from misery. He doesn't want to have them, leave them in the place where they feel punished. Because that is this world, unfortunately. It's like a certain level of, we're punished by karma. Actually, in the West, they say that karma is the B word. You heard this? You guys are all Indian. You never heard this phrase?
No.
No. My mom uses this phrase. So I'm trying to tell her, no, karma is... What's that? No, but they don't understand that karma is justice, divine justice, a system of justice. As we sow, so shall we reap. But, in the West, people say, especially when someone gets an unfortunate things, well, they say, well, karma's a biatch, they say, like this. That's what they say. But this is not the proper understanding of karma. But karma actually is justice to rectify our behavior. So we know, all right, I got these reactions for doing like this, I should not do like this. And oh, I got good reactions for doing like this. So we need to rectify our behavior. But the best way to get all karmas cleared, everything, is actually just to surrender unto the Lord. That's the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. He leads you through so many teachings in the 18 chapters. But at the end, it's simple. Just surrender unto me. And there are those who are Krishna's dear devotees. They know how to surrender unto him, like Arjuna, like so many of Krishna's many devotees, the Vrajavasis, the Dwarkavasis. So we should learn from them how they surrendered unto Krishna. So we should hear his pastimes, how they surrendered unto Krishna. And then there are those who are living it in this world. Like we're trying to be those types of people. The Acharyas were those type of people. And they made very clearly how to continue Krishna's service, what Krishna wants and how to act in that way, how to apply that to 1750 or 1880 or 1990 or now 2020 time. So okay, my wife is saying end here. So any small comment, question? Please forgive me. I know the subject matter can be, no one wants to hear, oh man, I don't want to be punished, all these things. But anything from you guys? Yes.
So what does you said that we should surrender to Krishna?
Yes.
And that is the conclusion of Gita. So what happens when you surrender to Krishna?
Well, there's many things.
How different is it than
It's not that
taking
different.
our karma, rather than taking our karma, and what is the difference between surrendering to Krishna?
Sure. So if you imagine there are many warriors on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, right? This is for simple analogy. There were some warriors who wanted to fight for Krishna or serve Krishna, and there were many warriors that wanted to go against Krishna, actually. So the warriors who went against Krishna, the result they got, they all died. But those who wanted to fight for Krishna, they actually, some did die actually. But they weren't necessarily fighting for Krishna, the ones who died. But the Pandavas in specific, who were Krishna's devotees, they served Krishna's desires. And ultimately, their life, not only did they have all the wealth, all the things like that, kingdom, all that came, that was fine. But they actually always had association with Krishna. And they were always blessed by Krishna, and they actually got to associate with Krishna. Now us, we're not so lucky to have Krishna's personal association. It's you do the same things you would do, but you associate it with Krishna. So for instance, you have a job, you just got a job. You've been studying here and you ended up getting a job, which was nice. Now you're going to hopefully use that job in Krishna's service. That means like you go to work and you feed your family, or maybe just you feed yourself right now because you don't have a family yet. But when you go home, your activities, you can use the fruits of your work, which is some money, you can use wealth for service to Krishna. So maybe you make your home into a place where people worship Krishna. So maybe you make your home a place where people come to hear about Krishna. Maybe we're trying to do that here, right, Kashi?
Right.
Yes. Okay. So like this. So and or maybe you help support other projects that are trying to serve Krishna with the money or anything. Whatever you have, offer it to Krishna in some way. So it's not too different. I have a car. Who else wants a car? Who here needs a car? Yes, you all need a car. Okay, I use my car to pick up groceries and students for Krishna. To serve programs. That's mostly what I use my car for. It's not different. I have a car, you have a car. But maybe what we use it for could be different. Like that. You're a student. We also have many other students at SU. But we have our students at SU, they might be able to do something nice for Krishna. Maybe they can set up a facility in the university where people can come learn about Bhakti Yoga, Krishna's teachings, things like that. There's so many people who have jobs and resources. For instance, Tej is always dropping off food stuff here. So many people go to the farmer's market. Tej also buys enough food so he can feed his family, but he also buys enough food to feed his extended family here, where all of a sudden there's a huge drop-off and Tej has got like 20 butternut squashes in the car or something we gotta find space for in the garage. So we can feed you all here. So it's just like that, Everything is the same pretty much, but all the resources of this material world that everyone is utilizing, you use for Krishna. I have a body, you have a body. Some people might want to use their body to get as much, food pleasure as possible, and then their body will likely keep growing. But other people might want to use the body to serve out as much food stuff as possible, one to Krishna and then to give to everyone. And then their body will probably stay okay. And then at the same time, they make everyone are happy around them. Like many of you guys cooked in the morning today. You guys why cook for others when you could have eaten all that yourself? No, but there's a pleasure in sharing with others. There's a pleasure in, because it's pleasing to Krishna. To offer Krishna the food, and then share it with others. So everything you're doing,
What is the difference in the result?
Oh, the difference in the result. Well, it depends how sincere you are in the endeavor, right? So ultimately, death is not an obstacle for a devotee at all. Everyone here, everything that we do, whether we have the best job in the West Side, or we have, we're just a simple family person, everything we do here will come to an end and will cause everyone sadness. But actually the result is if you serve Krishna, you will keep getting better facility to serve Krishna, and at death, actually you can go and be in even more intimate service with Krishna. Even so in this life, most people, I don't want to wait for death. I want happiness now. Who else has that mentality? Yeah, I don't want to wait for death to be happy. I want to be happy now. Actually, if you, do we seem unhappy? Yeah, and we're not even that good at this. The devotees who are really good at this, they're always happy. Actually, you become blissful by serving Krishna. You can, even where other people can be very miserable, you can be very happy. I can give an example. I used to work on a farm, and I used to weed strawberry plants. Just weeding. And I'll tell you what, it was miserable. It was a totally miserable thing. You're out in the hot sun, it's beating on you. It's not my nature to do these things anyway, but you're just weeding. But I found a secret on how I can be happy doing this. And actually, it became my favorite time of the day. And my secret was I would just put on my earbuds and I would just hear Bhagavad Gita, the same Bhagavad Gita I was reading to you, because I was new. I was trying to practice these things. And I became very happy. And actually all the other parts of the day where all the boys we would all fool around with each other. We'd throw pumpkins at each other, all the other stuff of the day. Actually, my favorite time of the day every day was just when everyone would be quiet and we were all struggling weeding, and I got to just hear Bhagavad Gita. And that was my secret to be happy in an otherwise very miserable situation. A lot of times at work, they're going to call you to do things, whether it's you got the best job in the West Side, or you probably have to start at an entry position and do a bunch of things you're not exactly wanting to do, but you know it's best for you in the long run. That's what school is, right? No one really loves school so much, I love taking this test and I can't wait to do all these things this teacher wants me to do. But in the long run, all right, that's probably going to be best for me. So you do all those things. So similarly, in the beginning we might, serving Krishna might not feel so natural to us. I just want to keep serving myself. I've been doing this for lifetime after lifetime. But it actually becomes very sweet. You see somebody who gets the results of devotional service, they actually develop love, like real love. And that's not available in the material world. The love that we're all looking for is really lust. So everyone's looking for love, right? Who doesn't want love? Everyone's looking for love. Yes, everyone is looking for love. But actually what love is... What's that?
Somebody shook their head no.
Only because they don't know what love is. If they knew what love is, everyone would be looking for love. But I'll tell you, everyone thinks love is, like a friendly exchange. I tell my friends I love them all the time. I tell my wife I love her, usually almost every day, mostly every day. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we say it every day. She'll tell you. You go ask her. But actually, if I'm referring to her as the body and in coming in this family and things like that, that's not really who she is. I really don't love her. I don't know her, actually. But if I'm referring to who she is in eternity and who we all are in eternity, we're all connected to God. We're all divine, actually. This is Vedic understanding. We might think I'm Meghna of this family, or Adya of this family, or Sohan or Michael of this family, or Rishi of this family. But this is just a temporary gig. This is just like a temporary job that you got to be part of this family and this body, things like this. Like, actually, that's not who we are in eternity. Just like in the past life, you had no idea who you were. You had no idea who your family was. You had no idea what your job was. You had no idea what your education level was. None of that's known to you. So in the future, it will be just like that. None of these things that we spent so much time and energy focusing on. But you know what you will be in the future? And you were in the past? You'll be connected to God in the same way that you're connected to God now. So either you address this existential crisis of why do I exist? What's the purpose of existence? What's the purpose of taking lifetime after lifetime after lifetime? Either we address this existential issue, or we just keep taking lifetime after lifetime and always being dissatisfied as we have to go closer to death. When you're young, everything is much more seemingly pleasing. But as we get older, it gets less and less ideal. And then as we approach death, from the materialistic standpoint, Holly, for those who have wisdom, deep spiritual wisdom, you can celebrate old age. Actually, no, it's good. There's a lot of benefits to being old, but you got to know how to be old. It's an art. it's a deep art. I want to learn also how to enjoy being old. But most people don't enjoy being old because their facility for enjoying the material world is less. Like, for instance, most people's ability to digest gets worse as they get older. So their ability to enjoy food is much more difficult as they get older. Sex life, usually in older age, is less desirable. At least for men, it's, definitely less desirable. But, you know what, that's the nature of the material world. It doesn't get better in the material world. But the spiritual life keeps getting better and better and better and better and better. And that's actually reality anyway, whether in this lifetime or the next lifetime or 10 lifetimes down the road. You're always going to have that fundamental connection with God, with Spirit. That's actually who you are. Like, you all drive a car, you get out of the car and you do your normal functionings. Who here got here by car today? Only a few of us got here by car. Wow, you guys all walk, huh? So anyway, you got on a bike or a scooter or something like that, or maybe you just walk, no problem. But if you drive a car, you're not the car. You get out of the car, you utilize the car. So right now we have a body. Yes, your car might have been made by this manufacturing facility. Your body might have been made by these parents and these relationships and so on. But actually, that's not who you are. You're a spirit soul, and you've come into this family. You've come into this body. You have duties to your family. You have duties to your society. You'll have duties to loved ones, your husbands, your wives, your spouses, your children. But if you don't know who those people are, you'll actually not be able to really love them, because you'll only see them for a shell, like the car. So anyway, my wife is saying, it's time for the Damodar Astakam. Yes. Yes. I actually made a mistake. So, yes, sorry about this. I always going over the time. It's the Kartik month. You've all heard of this month? So in Kartik Mas, there's a very special activity. And in Kartik Mas, we chant the Damodar Astakam. It's a very beautiful prayer. And when you chant this Damodar Astakam, you get so much blessings just by remembering the sweet pastime of Krishna, who is bound by his devotees' love. You know, the devotee is so powerful that actually the devotee can control God. Can you imagine such a thing? But only by love. You can't do it in any other way. You can't manipulate God. I know, I'll say this prayer and I'll do this and I'll control God. No. It's only by your actual love and affection that you can control God. And actually, this Damodar pastime where Krishna was bound by Mother Yashoda is an example of how she controlled God and was able to very easily conquer God with her only her love. Not her strength, not her speed, nothing else other than her love. So the devotee also, we're not on like some crazy world mission to be conquerors of God, but we are on a mission to love God and to serve God. And through that love, God is naturally conquered by the devotee. So we sing this prayer about this pastime so that we too can learn to love God and get the blessings of loving God. And then also, the natural tendency is that the devotee, because the devotee aligns all their desires with the Lord's desires, God fulfills all the devotee's desires. It's actually quite wonderful. The more devoted you become to the Lord, the more all your desires in life get fulfilled. But why? Because you align your desires with the Lord's desires. And you desire that which is best for everyone. That they actually re-establish their connection with God. Because everyone is connected to God. Everyone is connected to the Lord. It's not that, I was born a Krishna devotee, or I was born this or that. No, everybody is connected. Not only just Indians, or Americans, or Eskimos. Everybody is connected to the Lord. The animals, the plants, the trees. So the greatest favor we can do is to reestablish that connection. Whether it's in this life or 20 lifetimes down the road. So but you guys, if you have the intelligence to do it now, do it now. That would be great. So we offer a lamp. It's said that one who offers a lamp in this Damodar month, this Kartik Mas, just by offering a lamp to the Lord, one, develops love for Him. Just by offering, everything is like on wholesale price this month. How would you feel if I said, all right, wholesale price, 99.9% off? That's a good deal? Everyone agree? That's actually what Krishna is saying Kartik Mas is. All devotional activities that you do, 99.9% off. You get all the benefit of doing thousands of times more than that. So that's a good deal. So take the good deal that Krishna is giving, offer some small lamp to Him. We'll chant His names. Please tolerate. I'm sorry I spoke so long, and I know it can feel like a little dull, don't be a demonic and things like that. But actually, my hopes in speaking these things is that we can realize to get more deeply connected to Krishna, how beneficial that will be in our life. So please take this huge blessing in your life, and we're going to call people up to offer a lamp. Maybe we won't do arti, or do you want to? Offering is better. Yes, so then we'll chant this prayer. Can someone share the prayer in the group chat? All right, Michael's good. Thank you for joining online.